me, like, you found out about the divorce, and I was like, yeah, I'm fine with it. And he was like, okay. So it never really went beyond that.
Isabel, in a couple of weeks, we'll be back home again.
Christine told me this, whatever happened, she had to tell Truly. And so I came over the next day and I just sat down with Truly and just to talk with her. And I'm talking with Truly and I'm said, how are you doing? And she seemed to have dealt with it either very well, or I'm not a psychologist, I'm just a parent, but maybe she just buried it emotionally. Because to deal with it, but she seemed very okay.
I don't know.
What it feels like here is like we're familiar strangers. I can't imagine that for me and Robyn, this is going to be a pleasant experience at all.
You won't believe the tea we're spilling today. From secret breakups to shocking lies, this is Unreal Tea. Hit subscribe before the drama starts. Welcome everyone. It occurred off camera, but the anguish was real, raw, and unforgettable. When Kody Brown found out her family was breaking up, her father was not to be seen. And Christine? She was left to bear the emotional destruction on her own. But what actually went on that day was far more heinous than viewers first imagined. Beneath the tidy, censored footage by TLC is a heart-wrenching choice. Kody Brown deliberately did not stand by his daughter when her heart would be shattered. Why? Why does a father go silent at such a profound and painful moment in the life of his daughter? Cowardice? Control? Or something deeper, something that even Christine wasn't bold enough to say on camera? It is not a divorce story. This is about a kid caught in the middle of a collapsing empire's emotional bloodshed. This is about Kody Brown's ultimate breakdown as a dad, and the moment Christine finally figured out she was finished defending him from responsibility. And the question that has been haunting viewers worldwide still remains like smoke: did Kody allow Truly to suffer because he simply didn't care? Stick with us as we uncover what the cameras did not catch, what Christine said under her breath in confessional when the lights went out, and what real emotional betrayal shocked even the crew. Because when the truth was finally revealed, it wasn't only Truly who broke down. It was us all. The moment everything changed, Christine alone, knowing that what she was doing would leave a mark on her daughter. She took a deep breath. The room was silent except for the creak of the couch and the quiet hum of a nearby refrigerator. And then, she told her, "We're leaving. Dad's not coming with us." The words hung in the air like poison. Truly blinked, confused. Her world, once anchored by the illusion of family unity, was crumbling in real time. Christine's voice cracked. She was breaking, too. But Kody? He wasn't there. He had flat out refused to be there when the truth came. Not that he couldn't, but that he wouldn't. Christine's devastation and growing wrath later, in her own confessional, Christine's devastation became growing wrath. "I figured he'd want to be there for Truly," she said with tear-filled eyes. "I really thought he'd man up. But he didn't. This was a man who used to boast of guiding his family through strength, togetherness, and love. But when his daughter needed solace, when she needed him, he vanished. This was not emotional abandonment. This was abandonment. At a moment that would set the tone for Truly's childhood, Kody decided on distance. He decided on self-preservation rather than parenting. Kody's excuse, and why it didn't work when Kody was later asked why he wasn't present, he muttered something about not wanting to confuse Truly. But fans weren't buying it. And neither was Christine. "You don't protect her by staying away," she said. "You protect her by being there. By loving her through the confusion." This wasn't about confusion. This was all about control, and Kody losing control. Christine was making decisions. She was being the leader. And by doing this, she revealed just how tenuous Kody's position had become in the lives of his children, particularly those who were not living within Robyn's household. The fallout, and what Truly said off-camera, sources close to the Brown family claim that what Truly said off-camera that day continues to ring in Christine's ears. "She asked me if Daddy still loved her," Christine recalled, fighting tears. A child's naive question. But it cut as deep as a knife. What do you tell her when the truth could be yes, but his behavior says no? Christine hugged her, kissed her forehead, and told her she was loved. But she knew the damage was already done. And the scar, it would take years to heal. Robyn's silence, and the widening divide. Where was Robyn during all this? Silent. Absent. Distant. Sources indicate that Robyn knew Kody had declined to join Christine in delivering the news. Instead of making him be there, she remained silent, once again. And fans have noticed the pattern: when the stakes are high and the emotions are raw, Robyn and Kody retreat into their cocoon, protecting each other while the rest of the family bleeds. Christine had seen enough. Christine's final words before leaving Flagstaff in a quiet, final confessional before her move to Utah, Christine looked straight into the camera and said, "Truly deserves better than this." And she's right. Every child does. But in that moment, Christine wasn't just talking about Truly. She was talking about all of Kody's children, every one of them who had felt ignored, discarded, or unworthy as he collapsed deeper into his favoritism for Robyn's household. Christine sat in silence on the edge of her bed, clutching the edges of a half-folded laundry basket. The camera pulled slowly in, her face spoke volumes. A mother's suffering. A woman driven beyond the edge. And behind her, the door to her bedroom creaked open as Truly, still wearing her school hoodie, poked her head in. "Mama. Are we still moving?" Truly's voice was hesitant. Timid. Christine's throat constricted. Her smile did not quite reach her eyes as she nodded, attempting to conceal the battle within her chest. It was happening. She was finally leaving. But what she didn't realize was how deeply it would wound the one person she was trying to protect. Truly had overheard things. Things number 11-year-old should ever hear. "Dad said it was your choice," she said softly, eyes wide. "That you're tearing the family apart." Christine froze. Those words weren't just echoes of Kody's voice, they were daggers. And as the scene plays out, tensions mount, bringing out a broken family's ugliest wounds. But then something happened that stunned even the most devoted fans who believed they'd seen it all. Just when the dust had hardly subsided from that explosive battle, another whirlwind swept in, albeit this time, courtesy of someone no one saw coming. Savannah, Janelle's reserved, keen daughter, entered the fray. Her words shook, but they sliced deeper than any of the previous fights. "You all speak about family, about loyalty," she stood among the adults. "But you forgot what it means. Dad. You forgot me." The room was silent and stunned, even the usually quick-to-speak Robyn was visibly shaken. She attempted to grab Kody's hand, but he backed away. For a fleeting instant, the facade cracked, and what was underneath wasn't pretty. Kody was falling apart. Janelle's words had broken something that couldn't be taped back together. Cameras continued to roll. Janelle, her mouth pursed, her eyes shiny but unflinching, didn't budge. She knew her daughter had passed a threshold, and yet, it was a line that needed to be passed. For far too long, the younger Browns had been silent victims of the broader war between the wives. And Savannah? She was finished being quiet. Meanwhile, Christine watched from afar. Her arms folded, her eyes scanning the room, as if checking off mentally each crack in Kody's demeanor. "He's sliding," she breathed to the producer beside her. "And now everybody sees it." The director nodded, taking nervous notes. This wasn't drama. This was gold. Raw, uncut heartbreak unfolding in front of our very eyes. Robyn finally dropped her mask in the subsequent confessional. "I tried," she wept. "I tried to keep this family together. But maybe they never wanted it to be together." The internet went wild the moment that clip was broadcast. Forums, Reddit posts, YouTube analysis, everywhere they were infested with one searching question: was Robyn ever the victim, or was she the mastermind from the very beginning? But it didn't stop there. Christine, never one to shy away from a fight when she felt injustice, came armed. Armed with receipts, literally. In a shocking moment that went immediately viral, she produced a folder titled "Legal Papers, The Real Story." What happened next was pure idle history. Behind it were signed agreements. Not only divorce documents from her and Kody, but a timeline. Emails, texts, even sworn statements. Christine glared into the camera. "I was advised to wait. Advised to wait patiently. Advised to be supportive of the family. But behind my back, Kody and Robyn were plotting their departure. They were already acting like a monogamous couple before I even departed." The studio fell silent. Even Meri, who had remained oddly quiet during most of the confrontation, suddenly gained her voice. "Wait, you knew?" she asked Kody, standing up to face him. Her voice was low, barely incredulous. "You swore I was next. That you'd make us right." Kody didn't respond. He couldn't. The walls were closing in on him and all the cameras were seeing it. Janelle advanced, her voice steel. "We were all pawns. Every one of us. You played us like chess pieces to build your little empire with Robyn at the center. But guess what? The game's over." From that moment forward, the fan was no longer just a viewer. Fan turned into juror. Every social media post was a courtroom. Every clip evidence. And then, the letter came. A handwritten note, supposedly from Robyn to a producer, leaked by a crew member who said they couldn't keep quiet any longer. What was inside was damning. In it, Robyn mapped out next season's arc and discussed how Christine's departure will increase ratings and Janelle's autonomy could be spun as a redemption storyline. Spin. Ratings. Redemption. It was not a family. It was a show. And now, The whole world witnessed it. The fans were outraged. What was legitimate? What was staged? And most ominously, who knew it was staged the entire time? Janelle's second confessional shook the fandom. I let them record me crying. I let them catch my worst moments. I thought we were documenting real life. But I wasn't just experiencing a breakup, I was being edited into a narrative. And they let it occur. She paused. But I won't be a character anymore. I'm a mother. A woman. And I'm taking my power back. When those words were broadcast, millions of women on the planet stood up, emotional, spiritual. Janelle had just busted the fourth wall in the most powerful way. She wasn't only leaving Cody behind. She was leaving behind the system that kept her small. And just when you thought things couldn't get any higher, along came the reunion episode. Promo. One chair. A solitary chair sat in the middle of a blacked-out studio. And sat in it, Christine. She faced the camera, eyes blazing, smile in check. Cody has no idea I'm here. But I believe it's time somebody told the truth about what really occurred at Coyote Pass, and who stole what. Christine attempted to hold it together in the days that ensued, but behind closed doors, the cracks were impossible to miss. Truly had become withdrawn, too withdrawn. The chatty little girl who used to sing to her stuffed animals now sat in lengthy silences, gazing out windows, sketchbook unused. Christine caught wind of it first at breakfast. Truly, still wearing pajamas, pushed her cereal around the bowl. No appetite. No words. Just an empty stare that cut through Christine's heart like a knife. Did you sleep well? She asked softly. Truly shrugged. Christine tried once more. Want to go for a walk later? Perhaps check out the park at the end of the street? Another shrug. Christine placed her hand on hers. Sweetie, you can tell me anything. You can talk to me. Truly tilted her head then. Just one line, why didn't Daddy come with us? That was the question that hung between them like smoke. Christine swallowed painfully, pushing back tears. Because, sometimes people make choices that don't make sense to us. But I'm here. And I always will be. But that wasn't good enough for Truly. She glared at her mother with a maturity no child should have to bear. He didn't even say goodbye. In another part of town, Cody sat with Robyn, complaining in circles. Christine poisoned her against me, he growled. That's what this is. She's playing on Truly to make me suffer. Robyn, wiping away tears from her eyes, nodded gravely. She's making you out to be the bad guy. But the truth was something much worse. Cody didn't need assistance looking like the bad guy. His silence was doing the job for him. Producers allegedly asked him later off camera if he wanted to send Truly a message, something comforting. He declined. She'll get over it, he muttered. I'm not gonna feed into Christine's drama. But fans watching at home saw the truth. This wasn't about Christine's drama. It was about a girl who just lost her home, her family structure, and the father who was going to be able to provide for her and keep her safe, and received nothing in turn but apathy. Weeks after that, TLC cameras went with Christine and Truly to a tiny neighborhood cafe, where they sat across from one another at a table by the window. Christine urged Truly to get whatever she wished, a milkshake, fries, but Truly only picked at anything. I saw Daddy's car yesterday. In town, Truly said at last. But he didn't stop. Christine's breath caught. He probably didn't notice us, she tried to say. But Truly wasn't having it. He noticed me. I waved. Christine grabbed her hand across the table. I'm so sorry, baby. That moment, unvarnished and unsparing, left audiences swamping social media with outrage. Why would a father neglect his own child like this? This isn't horrible parenting, it's emotional abandonment. Even Cody's longtime defenders found themselves questioning his priorities. One Reddit commenter stated, Cody is more affectionate to Robyn's children in one episode than he has been with Truly all season. It's disgusting. Then came the turning point. Christine provided Truly with a journal. She sat her down on the couch and told her, you don't have to say anything to me. But if you ever feel something too heavy to hold, you can write it here. Truly paused, then nodded. The next morning, Christine discovered the journal open on the coffee table. In scrawly blue ink, just one sentence, I miss who Daddy used to be. Christine lost it. Right there. In front of the cameras. Her hand went to her mouth, her eyes welling up with tears. She had hoped she might shield Truly from every heartbreak, but she'd expected at least this much. Meanwhile, Cody kept spinning his own story in confessionals. Christine turning the children against me, he maintained. They're taking sides. But there were no sides anymore, only scars. Invisible to Cody. Unavoidable for everyone else. And TLC? They began distancing themselves. There were rumors on the crew that certain scenes had been ruled too sensitive to broadcast. A production insider said, the crying on camera by Truly was heart-wrenching. Some of the producers wept at the rough cut. It was that real. That raw. Emotional peak arrived on a still Sunday afternoon. Christine and Truly went to the old house for the last time to retrieve a few items. The air was stagnant. The walls continued to reverberate with memories. Truly walked through empty rooms in silence. She entered the old kitchen and glanced around. Here we were glad, she whispered. Christine nodded, resting her hand on the doorframe. Do you think Daddy remembers? Truly asked. Christine hesitated. Then at last said, I think he remembers. What he wants to. That line struck fans like a tidal wave. At that point, it wasn't about Cody and Christine anymore. It was about a kid who stood in the wreckage of what her parents had done, trying to make sense of the quiet that remained behind. After their last visit to the old homestead in the days that followed, Christine saw something else change within Truly, a silent but unmistakable sorrow. It wasn't boisterous or over the top. It was quiet. But it was profound. The little girl who used to plead for bedtime stories now climbed into bed quietly. Her giggles, once ringing down the hall, had become a whisper. And Christine, though she was trying her best to be with her, could sense her floating away into her own realm of questions, most of which had no answers. One evening, Christine snuck into her daughter's room and discovered she was lying awake in bed, staring at the ceiling. What's on your mind, baby? She breathed. Truly's voice was steady but ice-cold. I don't think he loves me anymore. Christine sat down slowly, as if she had lost breath. Oh honey, she started, but didn't finish. Because what do you say? How do you explain emotional absence to a child who only wants to be seen? How do you fix a heart that was broken by the one person meant to protect it? I love you more than anything, she finally managed. And I know you're hurting. But your pain matters. You matter. Truly didn't cry. She just turned over and whispered, Good night, Mommy. But Christine did not sleep that evening. She sat for hours on the couch, gazing at old family pictures. One of them caused her chest to constrict. Truly, perhaps 5 years old, riding on Cody's shoulders, both of them grinning. Where had that part of him gone? At the same time, Cody was careening in another direction. He did not interpret Truly's withdrawal as a request to be connected. He interpreted it as defiance. In a now infamous off-camera moment, reported by a former crew member, Cody was overheard shouting, She's acting like a victim. Christine put this in her head, I'm done bending over backwards. The crew member, who later leaked the quote anonymously online, added, It was the coldest I've ever seen him. Like he had zero emotional connection to what Truly was going through. Robyn, feeling the PR nightmare in the making, reportedly attempted to get Cody to call. She's only a little girl, she reminded him. She needs her dad. But Cody barked, She has Christine. That's enough. The final scene, never broadcast, but detailed to me by a producer, was shot on a rainy afternoon. Christine had brought Truly to a session of children's therapy, something she had quietly organized without telling the rest of the family. The therapist asked Truly to draw what family looked like to her. She drew 2 houses. One bright, colorful, full of flowers and smiling stick figures. The other? Gray. A jagged line dividing it in half. And at the middle, a stick figure of herself standing by herself. When asked what the second house meant, Truly whispered, That's where Daddy lives. Christine cried in the parking lot after the session. Cameras rolling. No words, just tears. The kind of crying that comes from deep in the soul. The kind that only emerges when a mother understands she can't fix what someone else broke. At Robyn's house, Cody was continuing to try and rewrite the story. In a confessional, he explained, I think Christine's using Truly to make me look bad. I've tried. But I won't beg for a relationship. But the fans were no longer believing it. Twitter blew up with hashtag Justice for Truly. TikTokers spliced together videos of Cody neglecting his children but engaged in indulgent displays of affection. For Robyn's family, one reader wrote, This is no longer about polygamy. This is about neglect, plain and simple. Even ex-family friend and former TLC contributor Michael T. Padron chimed in on a live stream, with a nod to the drama. Some people talk about fatherhood. Others show up. Everyone knew who she was talking about. Then came one of the most contentious TLC edits of the season. In one of the episodes entitled A Father's Distance, producers broadcast a scene that stung like a gut punch. Truly, on the floor of her new bedroom, gazing at a gift box that had just been delivered to her in the mail from Cody. Contents, a stuffed animal, a card saying miss you, love, Dad, and a $20 bill. That was all. Christine didn't utter a word. She simply turned away from the camera, visibly struggling to hold back tears. The audience was outraged. Reddit was filled with posts that said, a $20 bill? Is that what his daughter's pain is worth. And this scene broke me. Truly, sat in a rare on-camera confessionals, with her arms crossed. The producers asked her in a soft voice what she thought of the gift. She glared straight into the camera and declared, if he loved me, he'd be here. Not sending money. That became an overnight meme. Clips swarmed the social media. TikTokers spliced reactions. Instagram therapists provided analyses of attachment, trauma, and emotional neglect. This was not reality TV anymore. This was a mirror held up to real, raw, unspoken pain in families across the board. The emotional toll reached a breaking point for Christine during a private family dinner with Janelle and her kids. As the group laughed and caught up, Truly remained distant, present, but disconnected. Janelle leaned over and whispered, she's still hurting, huh? Christine nodded, holding back tears. I don't know how to fix it. Janelle put her hand over hers. You already are. You're here. That's what he's not. Back at Robyn's, Cody ranted in another confessional. She doesn't even call me anymore, he exclaimed. I'm not going to force myself into someone's life who clearly doesn't want me. But viewers weren't fooled. She's a child, Cody. Not your ex-wife. Imagine blaming an 11-year-old for not calling you first. The emotional immaturity is staggering. What became more apparent with each new episode was this: Cody wasn't merely losing Truly. He was growing stranger to his own heritage. And the largest shock awaited. A source in the family leaked that Christine was looking into legal action, not merely full custody, but restricting unsupervised visits unless Cody agreed to undergo therapy. Truly's health and stability come first, Christine allegedly instructed her lawyer. This isn't about revenge. It's about protection. That statement sent shockwaves throughout both the fanbase and the Brown family. For the first time, Christine was drawing a line that could not be erased, and Cody? He was running out of excuses. The days following the move were quiet, too quiet. Truly had always been an observant child, imaginative, cautious, but also deeply aware. And now, in the awkward quiet of their new house, that perception cut closer to something weighted. She asked fewer questions. She smiled less. Christine picked up on it right away. One afternoon, Christine caught Truly hunched over in a corner of her bedroom, not playing, not reading, just gazing out the window. The child who used to construct castles out of couch cushions sat for hours motionless. Honey, Christine murmured, kneeling at her side. Wanna talk? Truly shook her head. Christine bit down hard on her lip to keep it from trembling. She understood this, it was sorrow. And it was not just sorrow about leaving Flagstaff. It was sorrow about a father who had quietly, insidiously disappeared from her life. And nobody, had given her the words to define that sort of loss. Christine attempted to fill the quiet with affection, but Truly wasn't there yet. Not yet. And what hurt worst, was that Cody never even called. While sitting in his immaculate kitchen in Robyn's house, the cameras caught him leafing through documents, drinking coffee, discussing how the family dynamic had shifted. Shifted? No. It imploded. And fans weren't having it. When questioned in an off-camera confessional about not having seen Truly, Cody let out a dramatic sigh. It's complicated. Christine's poisoned her against me. The words sting like a slap. Fans were outraged. There was no poison, only a father who had disappeared from his daughter's most desperate moments. No birthday phone call. No FaceTime. Not even a text message. Social media blew up. He's gaslighting the whole audience, a fan posted. Don't get to ghost your child and then blame her mother when she's not interested in speaking with you. Christine attempted everything back in Utah. Game nights. Long walks. Baking days. But it wasn't until Truly discovered a photo, an old family picnic picture of all the siblings, that she finally spoke up. I miss them, she whispered. I miss when we were all together. Christine hugged her. I know. I do too. And then the question Christine had feared. Why doesn't Dad call? The silence yawned between them like an abyss. I don't know, Christine whispered. But what I do know is that none of this is your fault. Truly nodded, but slumped her shoulders. One afternoon, out of nowhere, there was a box on their porch. Christine carried it inside. It wasn't stamped with a return address, but in green letters written across the top was unmistakable, Cody's. A stuffed animal that Truly had left with him. A toy giraffe. No message. No note. Just the giraffe. Truly stared at it for a minute, then carefully placed it on the shelf, back to the wall. It was symbolic. She didn't want him forgotten. But she wasn't ready to let him back in either. And Christine, observing her daughter's heartbreak in slow motion, realized something horrifying. Truly was learning how to live without her father. And perhaps, she was beginning to like it that way. A few days later, a stillness fell into the new house. The sort of silence that didn't calm, it haunted. Christine tried to keep up the energy, tried to act like everything was normal. New routines, unpacking boxes, homemade dinners. But Truly was distant. She wasn't acting out. She wasn't angry. She was numb. Christine walked into her room one evening to find her curled up in bed, wide awake, just staring at the ceiling. Her sketchbook lay untouched on the floor. Want to talk? Christine asked gently. Truly shook her head. Christine paused, and sat down beside her, tucking a piece of hair behind her ear. I know this is tough. And I know you miss your dad. Truly blinked slowly. He hasn't called. Christine's heart hurt. She had hoped, perhaps stupidly, that Cody would at least reach out. That some sort of instinct would take over. But days had gone by. Not one phone call. Not even a text. The following day, Christine herself picked up the phone. She dialed Cody. Truly's asking about you, she told him. She needs to hear your voice. Cody's response was short. I've been busy. Too busy to call your daughter? Christine snapped. She thinks you don't care. Silence on the other end. Then, I'll try this weekend. But the weekend passed and nothing. Truly stopped inquiring. Back at Robyn's, though, things were otherwise. The cameras observed Cody laughing alongside Solomon and Ariella, selecting Halloween ornaments and juggling candy corn in the air. It was an acute contrast to the sadness Truly was facing by herself. Fans blew their tops. Online forums flared with outrage. Where is Cody's empathy? One fan wrote. Can't say you're the father when you leave your child at the worst time of her life. Another posted, Christine isn't just parenting Truly in isolation, she's mending her in isolation. Christine kept quiet publicly. But in a tearful confessional. Clip shot weeks afterward, her anguish at last broke through. Don't know how to tell my daughter that she matters, when the person that's supposed to love her no matter what just disappears. Her voice broke. And fans did too. Hard. Then there was the school activity. Truly had a miniature art exhibit at her middle school. Christine went out of her way to make sure every detail was ideal, hairstyled, shoes polished, sketchbook held tightly in her arms. She had invited Cody to it. Twice. He never got back to her. As the parents came in, hand in hand, proudly gesturing at their children's paintings, Truly stood beside her mother, looking around. Her eyes scanned. Christine attempted to divert her attention. Look, they placed your painting right in the middle, she said brightly. That is because they adored it. But Truly wasn't smiling. She was still scanning. And she froze. Slumping shoulders. Christine's heart shattered all over again. Back at the house, Truly quietly took down a photo from her wall. It was one of her and Cody at a pumpkin patch, years ago. She stared at it for a long moment, then gently placed it into a drawer. Not torn. Not thrown. Just put away. That night, Christine watched her daughter sleep. And within that shadowy illumination of the hallway light, she breathed the truth she never wanted to voice aloud. He doesn't get to do this to you. For Christine wasn't only battling for her own liberation anymore. She was battling for Truly's recovery. The atmosphere of Christine's home had changed. It wasn't sorrow anymore, it was survival. But survival brought with it a silent storm. Brewing within Truly. And Christine could feel it, growing day by day. It was the second Friday in October when Truly finally broke. She came home from school, slammed her backpack onto the kitchen floor, and stood there, eyes glassy, jaw trembling. Christine turned from the sink. Truly? What's wrong? Truly didn't answer. She walked to the living room, pulled open the drawer where she had hidden the photo of her and Cody, and held it up. I waited, she said, voice shaking. I waited for him to call. Christine's heart pounded. Truly's grip on the photo tightened. Why didn't he call? Christine knelt beside her. I don't know, baby. I've asked myself that every day too. But Truly wasn't looking for comfort. She wanted answers. And there were none. That night, Christine cried silently in her bed. She had expected heartbreak, yes. But not this long silence. Not this erasure. Cody wasn't just pulling away from her. He was vanishing from their daughter's life like she was a footnote in his past. And that was something Christine could no longer excuse. The next day, Christine made a shocking choice. She sat before the camera for her confessional and spoke the words that no one expected her to utter. This is no longer about divorce. This is about dignity. Truly deserves a father who shows up. Not one who hides behind excuses. The internet exploded with love for her. Christine is fighting for her daughter like a true mother warrior, one message read. She's exposing the truth Cody's trying to bury, said another. Suddenly, the story wasn't just about a marriage ending. It was about a child being forgotten. And viewers were furious. Meanwhile, in Flagstaff, Robyn was growing uncomfortable with the backlash. Her expressions in recent episodes, once serene and composed, were now tinged with anxiety. She sat beside Cody during a family confessional, visibly tense. "I know. People think Cody's ignoring his kids," she said. "But that's not fair. He's stretched thin." But her words rang hollow. Cody jumped in, voice firm. "I've been trying to give space. Christine made it clear she didn't want me around." Christine, watching the aired footage weeks later, laughed bitterly. "She says I wanted space," she told producers. "But I pleaded with him to keep in touch with Truly. I basically gave him opportunities on a silver platter." The moment of no return came during the group meeting of the family, taped months after the breakup. Producers had invited all still married wives and Cody to sit down for an unscripted, raw, and honest conversation. Christine walked in wearing a muted green sweater, her face calm but unreadable. Cody didn't make eye contact. The room was thick with unspoken words. Robyn broke the silence. "We're all hurting. Can we at least agree on that?" Christine's jaw clenched. "Hurting and hiding are not the same." Cody finally spoke. "I didn't want this divorce." Christine locked eyes with him. "But you wanted the distance. You created it. And now you're hiding from your own daughter." Silence. Even Robyn didn't speak. The episode ended with a chilling scene, Christine sitting alone outside, sipping tea as the sun dipped behind the mountains. Voiceover played as she stared into the fading light. "I can't make someone be a father. But I can be the sort of mother who never makes her daughter feel forgotten." And just like that, the internet went nuts again. The fans were devastated. Enraged. Inspired. Christine didn't leave. She rose. And she's taking her daughter with her, a viral post read. "This family's drama is far from over, so smash like if you're #TeamWives, subscribe for the next explosive update, and drop a comment below. Who do you think will win? Stay shady, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next scandal." Kiss mark. Behind TLC Sister Wives out.